My name is Elia. I'm 27 years old and live in a small but bustling city in the Pacific Northwest. I work at a design firm, and while my life might seem normal on the surface, there's a lot I don't show. I grew up in a fractured home. My parents divorced when I was 7. I stayed with my dad and grandmother while my mom moved away. It wasn't sad exactly, it was just quiet. A kind of silence that settles deep in your bones and never quite leaves. When I was 13, Dad remarried. His new wife, Claire, had a son named Adam, 4 years older than me, quiet, bookish, polite to a fault. He lived with his dad most of the time, but he started visiting during breaks. At first, I couldn't stand him. He took over my space, my room, even my seat at the dinner table. But I was also lonely, and when a boy at summer camp yanked my ponytail and made me cry, Adam stepped in and shoved him back. That was the first time I realized he might care. Years passed. Adam went to school abroad. I went to college, graduated, and found work in Seattle. I scraped by on an entry-level salary and rented a tiny studio apartment. I didn't go home much. My relationship with Claire was neutral, not warm, not cold. My dad, getting older, always asked me to visit more. One rainy Saturday, I went back to see them, and Adam was there, unexpectedly, with a woman. I learned he'd returned from London a few months earlier. He looked different now, sharper, more refined. The woman with him was his girlfriend. Claire gently nudged me to call her sister-in-law, but I didn't say a word. I still didn't know how to place Adam in my world. That same month, my relationship with my boyfriend fell apart. I broke up with him after refusing to move in together. He showed up at my apartment, shouted at me in the hallway, and shoved me hard. A neighbor stepped in before things got worse. When I told my dad what had happened, I didn't expect Adam to call the next day asking if I was okay. That was the first time I heard concern in his voice, and it shook me. The following week, my landlord told me to vacate. The owner's family was moving in. I panicked. I had a big conference coming up for work and no time to find a new place. On impulse, I called Adam. He didn't hesitate. "Move your things to my place. Crash there until you're settled," he said. I stayed in the guest room of his condo for nearly a month. Adam was organized, meticulous. He cooked. He cleaned. He respected my space but always checked in. One night, the city was hit by a freak snowstorm. He messaged me from work, saying he might stay at a colleague's. But around midnight, I heard a knock on the door. It was him, soaking wet, jacket dusted with snow. "I was worried," he said. That night changed something in me. He started calling me Ellie. I started noticing the curve of his jaw, the warmth in his eyes, the way he listened when I spoke. I found myself waiting for his return from work, making dinner for the two of us, setting the table like we were something real. But I didn't know what I meant to him. So before leaving for my business trip, I wrote him a letter. I've never understood what it means to be loved. Not really. I've been cold and distant, scared of losing things I never even had. But your presence, changed that. I like you. I care about you more than I know how to say. What about you? I left it on my desk before I left. The week passed. No reply. Not a single message. He picked me up from the airport, acted like nothing happened. The letter was gone. My heart sank. A few days later, I told him I'd found a new apartment. He just nodded and offered to help me move. During the move, I brushed against his hand. My pulse quickened. He smiled gently and said, "Rough hands, huh?" It was the first time we touched. And maybe the last. Now I live 5 blocks away. We rarely talk. But sometimes he sends a "How are you?" And I still wonder if I ever really had a chance. I thought distance would numb the feelings. That once I settled into my new apartment, I'd finally be able to let Adam go. But that's not what happened. If anything, being 5 blocks away made it worse. I'd catch myself walking past his building after work. Just in case I might see him stepping out, hands in his pockets, that slight crease between his brows when he's deep in thought. We messaged occasionally, small things. A meme here. A link to a recipe I said I liked. His texts were always polite, friendly. Too friendly. I convinced myself to move on. At least I tried. One Friday night, a new guy at my office, Julian, asked me out. He was charming, wore flannel shirts, drank black coffee, and had that Seattle confidence that made women laugh a little louder than usual. I said yes. It felt like the adult thing to do. After all, wasn't that what everyone said? Put yourself out there. Dinner with Julian was fine. He talked a lot about hiking and music festivals. When he asked if I'd like to go out again, I hesitated. Not because he was bad, but because he wasn't Adam. That weekend, I ran into Adam at the market near my building. He was carrying groceries and looked surprised to see me. "Didn't know you shopped here," he said. I moved closer, remember? I smiled. He nodded. Right. There was an awkward pause. Then he asked, "Are you free Sunday?" "I'm having a small thing. Housewarming for a coworker. You should come." I wanted to say no. But my heart said yes. Sunday evening. His place looked the same. Too clean. A few new books on the shelf. A vase with white tulips. There were about 7 people there, coworkers mostly. A girl named Ava, tall and chatty, seemed very familiar with Adam. I stayed quiet, mostly stuck near the kitchen, sipping cider and pretending to enjoy myself. Adam found me eventually. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You seem distant." I shrugged. "You haven't exactly been close either." He looked at me for a long time. "We need to talk." "I think it's too late for that," I whispered. He didn't reply. Later that night, after everyone left, I helped him clean up. It was almost midnight. I didn't want to go. We stood near the doorway. He looked tired. Or maybe just thoughtful. "I got your letter," he finally said. I froze. He continued, "I didn't ignore it. I just didn't know how to respond." "Do you like me, Adam?" He took a breath. "Elia, you're important to me. You always have been." But this, us, it's complicated. Why? Because I don't want to ruin what little we have. If I say the wrong thing, I might lose you entirely. But you already did. He looked down. I'm sorry. I nodded. Me too. And then I walked away. 2 weeks later. He hasn't called. I don't blame him. Some nights, I reread the letter I never should have written. But most days, I remind myself of how far I've come. That love doesn't always arrive when we want it to. That sometimes, the people we long for are just passing through, to remind us of what we're capable of feeling. Maybe one day, Adam and I will meet again, in some bookstore, or at a wedding of mutual friends. And maybe then, we'll smile, knowing what we were and weren't. But for now, I'm learning to be whole again. 1 year later. I turned 28 last month. I celebrated by myself, just a quiet dinner, a slice of lemon cake from my favorite bakery, and a walk along the waterfront where the air always feels like it's holding something back. A year ago, I was still waiting for Adam to say something. Now, I wait for nothing. That's not bitterness talking, it's just the truth. Since then, a lot has changed. I got a promotion at work. Moved into a sunnier apartment with bigger windows. Bought a second-hand piano even though I don't know how to play. I liked the idea of learning something for no reason other than joy. I also started therapy. It's strange, digging into your past with someone who didn't live through it. But little by little, the thorns inside me started to loosen. Sometimes, I even go days without thinking about Adam. And then, sometimes, I don't. March. It's a gray Tuesday when I run into him again. The kind of cold Seattle rain that doesn't fall so much as it hovers in the air. I'm in a bookstore near Capitol Hill, flipping through a poetry collection I'll probably never finish, when I hear someone say my name. Elia? I turn, and it's him. Adam. He looks the same but different. A little thinner. A little older around the eyes. Still handsome. Still carrying too much weight in his silence. Elia, he repeats, smiling softly. Adam. My voice is even. It's been a while. Almost a year, he says. You look good. I thank him. He asks if I have time for coffee. Against my better judgment, I say yes. The coffee shop. It's awkward, of course. We sit across from each other, each holding a mug we don't drink from. He tells me he left his job at the firm. Started his own consulting company. Things are good. Busy, but good. I tell him I've been working on a book of short stories. It's not finished yet. It might never be. But it feels right. We talk about books. Work. Nothing that matters and everything that does. And then he says, I read your letter again the other day. I blink. You kept it? He nods. I didn't know how not to. There's silence. I wasn't ready then, he admits. I was afraid. Of how I felt. Of hurting you. Of ruining something I didn't even understand. And now? I ask quietly. I don't know. I just know I missed you. I look down at my cup. That's not enough. I know. He hesitates, then says, I'm not asking for anything. Just, if you ever want to try being friends again, I'd like that. I smile, but it's the kind that doesn't reach my eyes. Friends are honest with each other. I'm being honest now. I'm not sure I can go back to being just friends, I whisper. He nods slowly. Then maybe, we can start with being people who once mattered to each other. That, I can agree to. Later that night. At home, I sit at my piano. I press one key, then another, unsure what I'm playing. The past year has taught me that closure isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's a quiet acceptance. Sometimes, it's a note left unresolved, fading into the stillness. Maybe Adam and I were never meant to last. But we were meant to change each other. And that, in itself, is enough. April. Weeks pass. Adam doesn't text. He doesn't call. But somehow, I feel less alone now. Just knowing we sat across from each other, talked like adults, cleared some air, it loosened something in me. Then one Thursday evening, just after sunset, he messages. Still playing the piano? I smile. Still can't play a song all the way through. He replies with a piano emoji, then adds. Would love to hear you play sometime. Just, as a friend. Unless that's too much. I don't reply immediately. I stare at the screen for a while, wondering if the wall between us is too thin now to hold back the waves. But then I type. I'm free this Saturday. Saturday afternoon. He brings pastries. I make coffee. The apartment feels smaller with him in it, and somehow safer too. My walls are decorated now, photos, postcards, a few framed quotes. He notices them. You've made this place really yours, he says. I nod. I've tried. We sit by the piano. I play a few notes from memory. He watches quietly. It's awkward and comforting all at once. Then we move to the sofa and talk for hours. About books. Regret. Ambition. Loneliness. He tells me he's been seeing someone on and off, but nothing serious. I tell him about Julian. We both laugh at our poor taste in timing. But there's something new now. A patience. No more walls, but also no pressure to rush through the ruins. He asks if he can walk me to the corner store. I say yes. May. We start seeing each other once a week. Always casual. Always under the polite veil of friendship. Yet something's changed. One night, we sit side by side on my small couch watching an old movie. I catch him looking at me, not the way a friend looks, but the way someone looks when they're imagining your face in the morning light. When the movie ends, I walk him to the door. He hesitates, then asks, do you think people can grow toward each other again, slowly? I nod. Only if they're brave enough to stop running. He leans in, but doesn't kiss me. Instead, he rests his forehead against mine for a few long seconds. That moment says more than any confession. June. One Sunday, Adam brings a small potted lemon tree to my apartment. For your balcony, he says. Seemed fitting. I touch the bright green leaves and smile. You remembered. Of course, he says. We don't define what we are, not yet. But he holds my hand now. He texts good morning. He waits for me to finish work and brings soup when I'm sick. We're not in love yet, not the sweeping, dramatic kind. But we're something gentler. Realer. A second chance not built on fantasy, but on respect and presence. Epilogue. People think love is loud. That it's grand gestures and fireworks. But sometimes, love is a quiet return. A slow rebuilding. A single lemon tree on a windy balcony, growing leaf by leaf, imperfect, alive, and holy enough.